And we are live. Hey guys, I am Heather with Head in the Clouds, and this is Real Talk, where entrepreneurship is messy and it isn't always pretty, but we're here to talk about it all.
And I'm Andres with Charlas and Sillas, keeping it simple talk. Hey, and together we are Real Talk with Heather and Andres. And Heather, it's a great day today, huh?
It has been a crazy busy day today so far, but yes, it's a great day.
Absolutely. Hey, and again, thank you guys for joining us here. One thing I wanted to mention right off the start is don't forget this week is our launch week with the CE shop. Take advantage of the 50% coupon for any classes that you sign up through the CE shop. You can find the link directly on our website, realtalkha.live, and you will have the discount there as well. So take advantage of that, whether you're looking for real estate classes, starting new in the real estate business, continuing education, loan officer school, and any other classes that you can take advantage through that. Please take advantage of that. Again, 50% coupon until Sunday.
And I'm actually going to put a QR code up. So we have a QR code up right now on the top of the screen. If you guys scan that, it'll take you right over to the website where you can shop with our discount and find those continuing education classes that you need to make sure you keep your license.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
also pre-licensing courses too. So if you're thinking about getting your real estate license, you can go ahead and click that link too and go over there and browse those classes and get started on your new career.
Nice. And talking about new career, today we wanted to talk about nurturing follow-up conversations with the leads in the real estate space. And these may apply to other areas of entrepreneurship, other businesses as well. Uh, but of course, being in the real estate space, this is one area that we wanted to dive in as consistently seeing some lag, some miscommunications in some areas, and some opportunities being missed.
So 1 second, I have to, when the money phone rings, right?
Hey, you gotta pick it up. That's the beauty of it, right? So,
So yes,
and,
to get back to what you were saying, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
and I was gonna say, it's gonna be a little bit of tough love if you're an agent, if you're not calling your leads, or if you're ghosting them, after one text, you're leaving money on the table. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it simple. Uh, so you're burning trust, your reputation, and probably your own confidence. So today we want to dive into, why agents don't follow up, why nurturing the lead is it's not an optional. You have to do that, and what can be stopping you from, treating your pipeline like it matters, right?
Well,
Is
not
there some?
only are you when with what we're talking about today, Andres, not only are you, well, not you specifically, but like agents in general. When I say you, I mean agents in general. Not only are you leaving money on the table, you're putting money on the table, setting that table on fire, and then throwing money into the fire as the table's burning. If you're paying for a lead source and then not using it.
Yeah, you really are. You think about it. You're paying for certain services, like you said, lead source. Uh, but let's be honest, not everyone is ready to go at the moment, right? Not everyone is saying, "Look, I need to buy a house. I need to be in my new home by the end of the month." Uh, if it was like that, I think everybody will be on that wagon, right? But that's not always the case. But at the same time, we see opportunities being missed because there's no follow-up system. There's no system in place to nurture these leads to stay on top of mind, and again, no trust, no relationship being built. And at the end of the day, if that person is looking to move, they raise their hands, they're gonna end up buying. They're gonna end up selling with somebody else who's nurtured them, who listens to them, and we see that happen quite often.
Well, it's that unicorn lead, right? That agents are wanting. They're wanting to basically be spoon fed on a silver platter, ready to go leads. And while At Cloud, we offer, the top 10%. These leads are ready to go when we send them to you. However, you still have to convert those leads. You still have to have that relationship with that person. Because Andres, even if I'm like ready to buy a house right now, let's say I have my pre-approval, you don't know me from Adam, I have my pre-approval, I'm ready to buy a house, and the ISA transfers me to you. This is my first interaction with you, this first phone call with you. Why should I just trust you with one of the biggest investments that I'm going to make when there's no rapport, no history, no connection between us, just because you're an agent? And I think that's kind of, agents lose sight of that. They lose sight of the fact that you still have to have a relationship and a level of trust with these leads. So even if we're sending you somebody who is ready to go, you don't think every other agent in your MLS district wants to have that same lead?
I'm sure they do. I always put myself in the shoes of the people that I'm approaching, right? How I want to be treated in a transaction, how I want to be treated. That's how I go about life, right? Treating people the way I want to be treated. Uh, I just don't go and purchase something from anybody, especially when it's the biggest investment, right, of my life. I want to make sure it makes sense. I'm with the right persons, and I'm sure the leads coming through are doing the same. You know, you have to build that trust. You have to build that relationship in order to get to the finish line. Some people may say, "Hey, completely have a different approach," um, and you want to make it happen. Let's get it done. Boom, boom. That's it. That's how they approach their business. That's totally fine if it works for you, right? But I see quite too many opportunities being missed because uh, there's no systems in place to follow up and nurture these leads and build that trust to get them to the finish line.
And even if you have those systems in place, if you're not using them, it doesn't matter. How
Yep.
many agents don't open their CRM on a daily basis? If your CRM isn't the first thing that you open when you sit down at your desk, you're leaving money on the table. You're definitely leaving money on the table. Because let's put it this way, everybody wakes up. What's the one of the first things you do as soon as you wake up? What does most people do? I'm not gonna say everybody, but I would guess most people grab their phone, right?
Yep.
And I would assume the first thing you do is check to see if you got any texts overnight, check to see if you got any phone calls. Some people may check their email. The majority of people go on social media. Before you've even made your coffee, you've already been on social media.
That happens way too often. I actually started implementing this week, and I'm going through some books and like Jim Rome and things like that. And one of the things I recommend is taking 15 minutes. When you wake up, take 15 minutes of just silence. 15 minutes to be in your head, nothing else. No phone, nothing whatsoever. You just unplug and you stay in your head and analyze your day, get your day organized in your head, and then put it into paper. Um, because I was one of those. I wake up, look at my phone, uh, right when I grab my coffee, and boom, just clouded my day, just clouded my mind with nonsense. But yeah, it's just changing those little habits to be more intentional about your day.
I think that's what it comes down to, is just being intentional about your day, intentional about your time. You know how your phone sends you the little reports of how much screen time you had, how long you're on your phone. You can break it down to like per app and see exactly what you were doing on your phone. And if you take your hours that you were on social media and you compare that to the hours you spent inside your CRM, and if one week you just flip-flopped those and spent that much time inside your CRM that you would have spent on social media, I bet you would see a drastic change in your pipeline.
Magical things will be happening. Right. So I wanted to dive into some of those little things. as to why people might not be calling their leads, right? Or following up. And one of those things that come to mind is the fear of rejection. You don't want to hear no. You don't want people to hang up on you. You know, uh, I'm honest here. I was like that when I first started. I'm over here calling a database of leads that are 2 years old. People don't know who the hell I am. They don't know where I'm coming from. They probably purchased a property already. And here I am calling them to introduce myself. Yeah, I got a no quite often. I got started a conversation here and there. Hey, just slightly apologize, just going through my database. Been a while since we reached out. Just want to make sure that you were helped. But that was in my head a lot of times. These people don't know who I am. They're gonna hang up on me. They're gonna say, "No, I don't care. I don't want to hear you. Don't call me back." Many things. I was inside my head more often than I was calling them. Until I got over that, and then I just started dialing, and then I started having fun while I was down. Um, so yeah, that's one of the things that I think people don't reach out quite often is the fear of rejection, and something that Coach Ross mentioned not too long ago is uh, it's really more about the ego, right? The ego doesn't allow you to put these fears inside of you to not call and be consciously about the rejection rather than just having a conversation.
Fear of rejection is real. It's funny. We were talking about this in our Monday mindset yesterday. We were talking about what everybody is afraid of or hates doing, they don't want to do. And let's focus on that this week, doing what you don't want to do. And fear of rejection is such a powerful thing that really does hold a lot of people back. And like you were saying earlier, not just in real estate, but in life in general. So many people don't start something or have great ideas that could make them millions of dollars, but they have that self-doubt, they have that fear of rejection, they don't want to go through that process, and it really, really holds them back. And one thing when it comes to the phones, I know I've said this several times, but it's true. If you're cold calling somebody, or if you're just doing, your outreach and you don't know that person and you make that phone call and they cuss you out, you're never going to see that person in real life if they're not going to use you as their agent. And if you do see them in real life, they're not going to know it's you and you're not going to know it's them. And if you can mentally get past the phone rejection, it makes life so much easier for you. And it's kind of like I've done some sort of cold calling all of my life, so I don't really have an issue there. Mine is door knocking. We talked about that, but like in self-defense, I took karate lessons my whole life, and one thing, especially like as women, if you're ever out somewhere and you're going to get attacked by somebody in real life, if somebody's going to attack you, most women will say they have the fear of getting hurt. They don't want to fight back. They don't want to get hurt. If somebody's attacking you, you're going to get hurt anyways. Like, that's a given. You're going to get hurt. Accept the fact that you're going to get hurt and defend yourself so that you have a chance to live. And while it's not exactly the same thing, when it comes to cold calling, you're going to get rejected. You're going to get screamed at. You're going to get hung up on. So the sooner you just accept the fact that that's going to happen and move past it, the better you'll be, because you won't go anywhere if you just live off of the fear.
Yeah, and just the faster you get to know, the faster you move to the next person. And practice, practice, practice. You get better at handling those objections, and eventually you're gonna systemize everything. You're gonna be comfortable in that space and just have the conversations. Just make the phone calls, right? And that goes into the next step, which is using the CRM to track everything, right? If you're talking to 10 people a day, it's hard to keep track of everything in your head. Put everything in a notebook. Use your CRM that allows you to put the notes, keep those conversations in there. Not every conversation that you make, it has to be about real estate. You're building trust, you're building a relationship, and systemize everything, and use it. Just like you said earlier, a lot of people have the system that work in place, but they don't use them. Use the system that is there to help you facilitate and keep track of everything. That way you know your numbers at the end of the day.
And realize that if you're using an ISA or you're using somebody to call and vet your leads, they're not there to close your leads. They're there to vet the leads, but they're not there to close the leads. They're not there to build the relationship with that leads. That's what you are for as the agent. Kind of like when you go to a doctor's office and you know how the nurse comes in first and does the triage, and you tell her your story of like what's going on or him, and they do all the lab work and stuff. Then the doctor comes in, and the doctor's the one that diagnoses you. The doctor's the one that writes the prescription, not the the nurse or the nurse's aide. And it's the same way with the ISA, or if you're having somebody call that these leads for you, you can't expect that they're going to build a relationship for you with your lead. That's something you have to do on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know sometimes a lead may feel like cold, like they're not ready to go, and it could be discouraging. You know, the ISA connected you with the lead, and you're excited to have the conversation. And after having the conversation, that emotional roller coaster, you came back down. Turns out the person is 5 months from now, 6 months, oh, a year away from today. And it could be very discouraging. And I told this to Sean a few weeks ago. Um, I feel like sometimes the agents ghost the leads rather than the lead ghosting the agents, especially after feeling like the lead is much colder than they anticipated. There is nothing else afterwards. Uh, and when the lead may be just looking for that support, build that relationship, continue to bring value to the table, and hey, 6 months down the road, 8 months, 10 months, you get them there, but just don't leave them in no man's land.
Exactly. And I think agents too, they don't want to bug people sometimes, or they're like, I don't want to reach out too much. I don't want to bug people too much. Or, you know, I don't really know how often I should be reaching out, because what if I just harass the crap out of them and then they don't want to have anything to do with me? When you're trying to establish rapport, when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, you need to come with added value. So if you're using your CRM correctly, it's a great way to set things up in advance. So let's say you have a phone call with somebody and they say, and depending on your state, not every state you can have people that help with credit, but let's say you're working in a state where they are allowed to do credit corrections and things like that, credit repair. If you have a client who's like, oh, I want to get a house that my credit's really, really bad. Okay, well, you give them the initial intake, you do your buyer consult, and then send them to a lender, find out what their credit actually is, because a lot of times people have no idea what they actually qualify for. And then if they are in that situation where, let's say, their credit's not where they need to be, and the lender's like, yeah, they're looking at like a year before they're going to have everything where they need to be. So throughout that year, set up touch points. If there's like a event going on where it's like credit convention type thing where you go and you can like have, I've seen them before advertised, like the credit fairs where you can go and there's like multiple different vendors there and they help you with your credit and stuff like that. Be like, hey, I saw this advertised. I thought of you. Send them a little text message saying that maybe, we could go together, go with them to that. Or if there's a first time home buyer seminar, or you want to go to some new construction thing, anything you can do to kind of engage and build that rapport with that lead, because it's not only just them. A lot of people think in terms of just one house at a time. Like if I help this person buy a house, that's it, I'm done. If you help somebody and you're an excellent agent who they feel really cared about them, they're going to refer you out. So the business you can make off one person is really unlimited.
Yeah, they are. And one thing I wanted to add to what you were talking about is the internet leads normally don't convert after one call, and normally it requires at least five touch points to get the lead moving forward. But oftentimes we see a miss too much. So nurturing them over time, not only are you just building trust, you're building a relationship, and like you said, referral, repeated business from that one client that came through as a cold lead through the internet. So it's very important long term, looking at the big picture. You're nurturing these people, you're building, bringing value, and getting them to the closing table. And not only that, repeated business and referrals from that one client afterwards. So it's different touch points that need to be set up, continue to nurture them, continue to build their relationship. Because oftentimes it is easy to assume, have the mindset of, I'm, I sound too salesy. I don't want to reach out too often. I don't want to, they don't need to hear from me quite often. Ask the question. If you have a conversation with them, ask the question. Hey, how often can I follow up with you? Is once a month follow up with you okay? You know, just simple things like that, like asking the questions and getting permission to follow up. You're not salesy. You're just bringing value to the table every time you touch points with them.
That's a great point. The ask, the appointment from an appointment. Because even
Yeah.
a well, hey, can I call you in a month? That's still another appointment. That's still setting up the expectation that you're going to call them and check in, and then do the same thing the next time. And when you're trying to build rapport with a future client, so a lead at the time, people like to talk about themselves. It's just human nature. So when you're talking to somebody, a lot of agents are very heavy on the this is what I do. This is me. This is me. This is me. This is me. When you're doing the initial intake, a lot of it should be more towards them. Yes, you do need to sell yourself as well, but when a lead walks away from a conversation where they've talked about them, I want to say like 97% of the time, they have a better outlook on that conversation than if they just sat there and heard you talk about how great you are to them. They're like, okay, yeah, this person's a great agent, top whatever percent, but they didn't really feel like anything was accomplished on their end. So we need to make sure that we're meeting the people where they're at, finding out their information, and leaving the conversation with them feeling like they gained something from the conversation.
Yeah, and the next call, the next appointment you set up doesn't have to be about real estate. If you call me in the middle of June and say, hey, and I tell you, hey, and you tell me, Heather, hey, Andres, I'm going on vacation. I'm going with the family to Disneyland in Florida. Uh, you know, uh, we'll dive into more details next month. My next call will be, hey, Heather, last time we talked, you were going to Florida to Disneyland with the kids, with the family. How was that trip? Tell me all about it. And just go based on that conversation and set up the next appointment for next month. Doesn't even have to be about real estate. But now it shows that I'm listening. It shows that I'm paying attention to what you're saying. I'm really involved in what you're doing and what are your goals, and and not necessarily just pitching and talking about me and real estate every time we're talking. It's like,
Exactly. To give you an example, to your point, so I'm celiac. I can't have gluten, which sucks. I know because everything on me has gluten. But when I came across a client who also is newly diagnosed with celiac and trying to navigate that world, because it's a hard world to navigate at first when you're not used to it. One of the things that when she was first diagnosed was I was doing is anytime I would find a new place that there was something that I can eat and I didn't get sick, I would text her and be like, hey, just so you know, you can go here and have this, this, and this, and it's gluten free. And I didn't say anything about real estate. Didn't say anything at all about real estate because I was trying to help her in that aspect. Because one, I know how hard it is to find food. And then two, to continue to build that relationship and just have touch points. So find things you have in common with these people and build that little relationship so that not every call is, hey, do you want to buy a house? Hey, do you want to buy a house? Hey, do you want to buy a house? Because nobody wants that.
and I bet you what, every time she had a question about some type of food or restaurant, where was she calling?
Yep. Yep. She's calling me to ask me.
They're like, hey Heather, do have you heard of this place? Even you giving you advice. So it's a beautiful thing that happen, and oftentimes we lose. I mentioned this yesterday to Chad. I think we lose focus of one of the most important things in this space is building that relationship. It can easily be, overlooked because of our mindset and our fear of rejection and our fear to be salesy and feeling like we're putting too much pressure on the other people when it should be the other way around. Just like you when you went to high school. I went to three different high school. You just had to talk, build a relationship, new friendships every time, and it happened naturally. Um, I feel like this space is just about the same. You need to have conversations naturally and be authentic at all times.
You really do. My youngest daughter, I was just at her school right now having lunch with her, and you're not allowed to be like inside the cafeteria. You have to sit outside the cafeteria with the kids and the parents that are eating lunch. And so all the other classes were walking past to go into the cafeteria to have lunch. And she knew like at least one person from every class that walked by. They were like, hey, hey. And she was like, hey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how many people here do you know? Everybody. And every time we go somewhere, she knows everybody. So she has no problem with like meeting people and reaching out and talking. And the thing about her is she's very charismatic. She's very nice. She's very friendly. And that's what she's known for. And that's why she knows everybody. And if you have that and you present that, and that's, how you are moving forward, you're going to find it easier and easier and easier to talk to people.
It is. People get attracted to the great energy, right? Just like Ellie and I say, every time we go somewhere, we bring people, we bring that great energy. I'm gonna charge a commission, right? There's nobody in line in the restaurant. Next thing you know, there's five people behind them. They're like, "What happened?" So it's just having that great energy at all times, being completely authentic, and magical things will happen. Um,
It's so funny that like I say that, but so I don't know if you'll know what I'm talking about. Maybe some of the listeners will. Tony has like golden retriever. He gives the golden retriever vibes. I am totally like black cat and just like I don't want to talk to anybody. When I'm not helping people, if I'm just like in my everyday life and I'm just like out or whatever, I'm just very like resting bitch face, like just leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anybody. Tony talks to everybody. And to give you an example, when he came back from his trip to Scotland, he came back and he's like, yeah, I met these two people that I was sitting next to on the plane and we exchanged numbers. We took a group picture. We're all going to hang out. And I was like, I don't talk to people on the plane. Like when I'm on a plane, I'm planing. That's what I'm doing. I'm just planing. I'm not there to like make friends with people. Like I'm surprised he didn't get on the plane and like end up as like the best man at somebody's wedding because he talks to everybody all the time. He's very,
that's
very outgoing. Very outgoing.
we are the same. Ellie and I are the same. She's more than I am. She just talks to anybody. Hi, friend. Everybody's a friend. Goes talk to them, introduce, and goes off. Uh, I am in an environment where I see, okay, yeah, I fit in here. I can be me, you know. But sometimes I'm a little bit more reserved into the open that door, you know. It's like a quick example. Like I mentioned in one of the last episodes, I did not grow up with my family in the art, right? My siblings, my older siblings, and sorry we're off track a little bit, but my older siblings, they're 5 years older than me. My mom lived there, so I went back to the art in 2008, back in 2018, back in 2019. And one of the last few times I went there, about 2 years ago with Ellie, I'm over there dancing with my family that we're celebrating my birthday. And one of my cousins said to me, I never thought this would be you. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you were the quiet guy in the corner, never socializing, never talking to anybody. And now you're over here dancing with everybody. Like, it's completely different world, like completely opposite person. Because I grew up like that, just very reserved, minding my business, not talking much. Um, but yeah, things change now. When I'm in a controlled environment or where I'm very comfortable, I go off. I'm talking and dancing. I'm being me 100%. But I have no problem approaching people and talking and asking questions. I've been Tony in some planes where I'm talking to the people next to me, and sometimes I bring food, especially traveling from Rhode Island back to San Diego. Several times I brought food with me, and I'm telling the person, "You want some? This Chinese food is great. This pizza is great. I bought it right there before coming on the plane. Nothing on the airport like this." So I could see that happening. So quite often. But yeah, Ellie's more like Tony. People easily approaches her and talk to her like just natural.
Oh my gosh, we got to get them together. We haven't done like the four of us go somewhere and do something. We got to go do something like the four of us double date so that we can see everybody in action doing all the talking.
Right? We have to go over there and spend a weekend over there. So that would be fun.
It would be
But yeah,
fun.
but yeah, going back into this, I think it's can easily overlook the process of nurturing the leads, of building that relationship, making sure you have a system in place to continuously touch base with the leads, because not everyone is ready to go at the moment, and building that trust, building that relationship will go a long way. Um, and one of the things is people don't treat the CRM like it's money, right?
No, they don't.
We said that at the beginning. If you use the CRM, if you put everything in place and and, and use the CRM the way it should, and you are putting down how much you're spending on leads and all your sources, and, and you start breaking down the potential income and revenue that you have on your CRM, um, I think at some point you're gonna be like, okay, I'm wasting time, I'm wasting money, I need to fix something here. Right. I hear a lot of coaches, I see a lot of different features, and it's all based on systems. Having the systems in place to follow up with your leads, to move the leads forward accordingly, and be able to get to the closing table. Because if you don't have those in place, you're just throwing money away.
I know if you have your systems and you're not using them, it really doesn't matter how good your systems are. And we say that all the time because you have to follow up. You have to, like the shirt says, call your damn leads. And it really does boggle the mind when you'll have leads in the system, they're there, and agents don't call them. Agents ghost the lead. And like I said, it comes down to the fear of rejection, the not wanting to reach out. One thing, a lot of agents get very busy on their today business and they forget about future business. And I had a coach one time who said, future business always takes priority over current business because current business is just that. And once that current business is gone, it's gone and you don't have anything else lined up. So you'll always need to make sure you're looking at future business.
That is not taken into consideration on many areas and many people. And I heard that in fanatical prospecting as well. The business they are prospecting that you're doing today will transpire in 90 days. You know, so if you don't prospect for a week in 90 days, you're not closing a deal for you know. So definitely see that happening. And what do you think some of the things are why people are not prospecting, why are not following up in uh, with their leads today, and they're focused too much on their business today rather than their business tomorrow?
I think one thing would be they're not having not necessarily systems in place as far as lead generations, but systems in place as far as help with what they're doing right now. They might be at a point where they have so much current business that they don't have that man hours to lead gen because they don't have a transaction coordinator. They're trying to handle everything themselves. They're a single parent or they're dual careered because it's a lot. I mean, if you think about it, if you really break down the day of an agent, when we were actively showing multiple buyers, let's say you went and did 4 showings on a Saturday, right? So you're driving all day long, 4 showings on a Saturday. Then you get home. If you have a family or you're a single parent, you get home, let's say 5 o'clock that evening after showing all day, and you need to write four offers, okay? Because they're like, yes, put an offer in on everything. You need to write 4 offers, but you also need to make dinner, make sure your kids are still alive. If your kids have homework, you got to help them with that. You got to do laundry, clean the house, get everybody ready for the following morning if you guys are going to go to church the next morning. So there's so much to do that then you've got to get all these offers written. You got to submit them to the buyers. They've got to sign them. You got to get them back. You got to get your pre-approvals. You got to be talking to lenders. Do they all have different lenders? There's so much to do that during all of that, was I supposed to sit down and make 100 phone calls or, move the people over in the pipeline? There's so much to do that if you're trying to do everything yourself, I definitely see that being a huge factor in not being able to get to it.
Absolutely. Being overwhelmed and lack of time. I think something we mentioned before is as agents, we wear many hats. Just like you said now, there's the showings, the paperwork, listings, etc. We're calling, doing way too many things, and follow up sometimes it's on the back burner. You
It does,
know,
unfortunately, but
it's follow ups, it's on the back burner, but like you said, follow up. Sorry. Uh, we also need to consider future business. I like yesterday I talked to someone who said, hey, I had a call on Sunday. I wasn't able to pick up because I had a buyer from out of state coming in, and we spent all day. We looked at 14 properties and had to submit an offer by the end of the day. 'Cause they were not coming back into. They wanted to put an offer before they left. So we saw 14 properties, submitted an offer by the end of the day. I was busy. I did not have time for anything else. And I'm like, hey, I understand. It's one of those times you have a client coming in from out of town. You want to be present for that client. You want to handle, like you said, everything pertaining to that transaction. But in the process, she missed an opportunity for future business, right? And that happens. But I think it goes into a place where having the assistance, where if you're not able to answer a call or follow up, using the systems to be able to have that on the back end, the automations to follow up and follow through if you miss an opportunity, to reach back to those leads that are coming through. Because at the end of the day, you are taking care of your present business, but future business keeps coming in. You need to have the systems in place to sustain and help you handle that business.
And I mean, no system is 100% foolproof. There's going to be things that happen. We're human. Everybody else is human. There's going to be things that happen. Things are going to slip through the cracks. But with systems, less things will slip through the cracks than if you're just trying to remember everything and go off the top of your head. And if you don't have any type of CRM that you're using and you just have your cell phone and you just have like your text message history, there's no way you're going to remember everything that you need to remember. There's no way you're going to be able to. I mean, you may think you can, but there's going to be those things that you're going to realize later, oh man, if I would have texted them. You're going to drive by somebody's house and see that for sale sign in the yard that's not yours. And you're going to be like, oh, should have, woulda, coulda. One thing you were talking about earlier triggered a memory in me. I remember being taught that if you're showing, and I won't say which brokerage this was and which coach it was, but that you should only be showing your buyers like 5 houses max, that they, with what you've talked to them in their intake interview, you should know exactly what they're looking for, and you only need to show them 5 houses, and they need to pick between those 5 houses. I see where they're coming from on that as far as saving you time. Me personally, I'm going to show them however many houses it takes for them to find the house that they want, that's going to be their house. Sometimes that's 1. And sometimes that's a year's worth of showing homes because they can't find the unicorn house that they're looking for. And while some people may say, hey, that's a bit extreme, you don't need to do that, you're wasting your time, I don't think it was wasting time, especially when they felt like they were taken care of and they've referred people to us that have been one and dones. It's about that relationship. It's about that rapport. It's about putting people in a home, not a house.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a true believer that when you walk through a property, the energy, the feel, you got to say this is your home, right? On Friday, I was at a symposium for luxury properties, and one of the agents on the panel said something that really stuck with me, and I like the idea of how he does it, and I certainly will try to implement some of that. And is if you're listing the property, right? There's one thing that the current sellers can tell you, and it's the story on the how does it feel to live in that property? What happens? Is there wild animals? What natural sounds happen at night? During the day, what's the sunset like? What's the sunrise feels like? What does that look like for someone that lived there? If you have lived in the house for 5, 10 years, what is that like? What story can you translate to the new buyer of that property? And it really stuck to me because I started looking in my house. I came back and I sat on my deck over the weekend and saw the sunset. Wake up in the morning, sit there in a coffee, see the sunrise, how cool it is, how cool it is at night in the mornings. That story that the property tells you is unique. And going on a listing and going to show properties. I want a buyer to feel in that same energy. I want them to imagine that story that the property is going to tell them, that they can translate with their kids, that they can experience with their kids, with their loved ones. So looking at that point of view, I don't think you can identify the properties, 5 properties. Um, but I think when you walk in with a buyer, you have to be able to feel the energy and see what's going on. And I think his way of showing a story through this listing is, I think it's incredible. And just put in 3 properties and say, hey, we're gonna go see this property. We gotta submit an offer. Uh, I think that does it. And I think that if you remember the shows on HGTV, right? And they normally put 3 properties. And we were going through a book this week. One of the chapters, uh, it's presenting the options. One of those 3 properties, and they have to pick one of those. Is that really always the best option?
No, I don't think having them just to pick I can't watch those shows because they always pick the wrong house, and then I get mad. Like I realize 9 times out of 10 they pick the wrong house, and I'm like, why?
Why is that? Why you think they picked their own house?
Just because they talk about like what they need, and then they go through the house and they're like talking about like how this house they need this, and then the house most of the time they pick is nothing like what they said. And I'm just like, oh, that's not the, or sometimes it's not the house I would have picked. So I'm like, why would they pick that house when they had like this beautiful house over here? But it is what it is. But a lot of times I do feel like on those shows, the houses don't really fit the needs that the people said that they wanted. But, and like the joke, right? All the memes of I'm a butterfly catcher, and my husband's a volunteer fighter, and our budget's like $5 million. Like,
Yeah, they're always like that. It's interesting on the perspective that how they put that image there that, oh, this is what $1 million can get you in some of those market, and these are your 3 options. Like, I'm sure there's a few more options that could be better.
I always wonder behind the scenes on that show is like if they did see more and they just told them the 3 for the show, but who knows? We only have a couple minutes left. I wanted to dive back into what we were talking about with the CE shop and how we partnership with them, and let you guys know that if you go to our site, you use the QR code up top, scan that, go to the site, and enter the code LAUNCH. This week only, you'll get 50% off. So we have a launch special, 50% off. Go through the site. I'm actually on the site right now looking at what they have there. We have everything from continuing education to real estate prep exam, get your real estate license, post licensing. and first renewals, professional development, upgrade your real estate license. There's so many things here. Just go through here and see all the different courses, all the different classes that you're wanting to take. And it is for all of the states. I believe all of the states. Maybe not all of them, but a bunch of them. We've got Georgia, Alabama, California. There's a ton of them here. So just go through the list, see if your state's on there, and then hit shop now. Don't forget to put in the code launch so that you can take advantage of that 50% off this week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great deal, 50%. And remember, they have up to a year once they purchase the classes to get them done. So it's not something that you have to get done within the next 30 days. You have up to a year to complete those classes. So thinking ahead, think of the savings, take advantage of it. You know, 50%. Shit. I need to do it. I need to buy mine for next year. I need to take my classes that are due next year. I'm going to use the same coupon. Get the classes, get them done ahead of time.
So I'm looking at the course here. So 75 hour Georgia salesperson real estate license package. They say they have the online course, and then there's different packages that you can get. So you can get like the course only, the standard package, which includes exam prep, and then they have build your business value package, and then a package that includes post licensing, which is the premium package. And if you're looking at all these different packages, the retail price for the course only is $295. Right now they have a sale going on, a 40% off sale with our site as well for the for fall, but this week only you get 50% off. So I definitely take that. But the course only price originally is $295. So you can get that half off this week. And like you said, you have a year. The standard package, which includes the exam prep, is $395. The value package, which then includes the books, the career resources, downloadables, flashcards, real estate glossary, and study schedule, is $469. And then the premium package, which includes post licensing, is $605. So for $363 is the 40% off. So $605, so it'd be 305? It'd be 50% off. So for $305, you could get the premium package, which is just a little bit more than what the regular course would be. So I would definitely take advantage this week and get that premium package and get everything all included in there.
Nice. Over here in Alabama, the classes at the pre-licensing class only is a regular price at $329. $329 with the 40% off right now. It's a $197. And a 50% off, we're looking at $164 for the class only. That's not bad at all.
Mm-mm.
This premium package is $729. $729 with the 40%, you're looking at $437. And 50% off, you're looking at $364, 50 cents. That's a great deal. And that includes the 30-hour post-licensing that is required, normally a value of $189, and again includes all the basics, the e-textbooks, professional development, Kickstart, the digital flashcards, and all the downloadable resources that they provide you there. So again, $364 for everything. That's a great deal.
That is a great deal.
And that's for here at Alabama. So if you're looking to get a license here in Alabama, take advantage of the sale. And again, check out other states. Let me play around with California. Because California, my license expires next year. I need to take some continuing education classes. I may be looking I'm hoping to get my license active in California next year. So might go over there and get some deals done and work with some agents locally in the San Diego area. So something I'll be paying attention to and looking forward to doing. So
Everybody needs to have their CE. So if you're in Georgia, your license every 4 years on the last day of your birth month, last day of the month of your birth. Yes. So I'm March. So it would be March 31st would be when my license would expire every 4 years. So every 4 years, you have to make sure you're doing your continuing education, getting those hours in, and you need your 3 hours of law. Don't forget that. So you need your mandatory hours, and then I believe it's the 3 hours of license law. When you come in here, there's so many courses to pick from. I was looking at them all to get your total 36 hours. Don't wait until March of your 4th year or whatever birth month you are, and then try to cram in all those classes within 1 month. Spread it out amongst the years. And there's so many classes in here that you can take. And right now you can get them all 50% off. So that's just amazing. I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything in here that is super fancy that would help us kind of pertaining to what we talked to today. Ooh, inspection, property inspection issue. That one looks kind of cool.
So California, there's tons of great classes everywhere. California, I got a 45 hour. Damn, that's a lot of time. 45-hour sales and broker package, normally $85, or the renewers plus professional development, it's 150, 160. So with a 50% discount, absolutely, I'm gonna take advantage of that.
So
So
this is so funny. So I was reading reading the class titles, and it says sex and real estate, and I was like, hmm. And it says sexual harassment, sexual discrimination, and fair housing. So make sure you read the descriptions of the classes before you just sign up for a class, guys.
that helps. That will help. So, so yeah, they sell you the individual packages, individual classes like that. $29 on average, depending on the class. If it's for sales person, broker, so $29 the average. Hey, 50%, $15, or you can buy the package that includes all the classes. So it's a great deal for $80. Definitely gonna be looking at getting those. I need it. So, and again, always after this week, you can always go back into our website. You normally have a 40% discount that we're launching twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and in between that, there will be usually a 30% discount for continuing education. Um, so yeah, come back, take advantage of the coupons that are available. But this week, 50% off.
Yeah, and then definitely take advantage of these packages. These packages look amazing as well too. But yeah, make sure you guys scan that little QR code up the top where I put CE Shop, and we can get you those discounts exclusively here at Real Talk with Andres and Heather. And we're almost out of time for today. Time flies when we're talking on Real Talk. You're all blurry, Andres.
Oh man, here we go. It's like the what is it, the Matrix?
You have like this like glow behind you.
Come back into focus. Sorry about that. We are time goes by too quick when we're having fun with this podcast. And also, Heather, we're putting an effort together. So, can you tell us a little bit about that effort, just so we can put it out there? It's coming up soon in the next month or so. We're gonna go. We're gonna put it out here live.
So we've been talking a lot about the CRM. We've been talking about, call your damn leads and what it is we offer. So what we are doing is putting together a special package for you guys, giving you the CRM and then an amazing opportunities to have automations, to have AI, to have workflows, and a special discount for our listeners. If you are real estate agents, we're going to have a special discount, promotion, whatever you want to call it, for our real estate agents that want to get into cloud. Don't want to go into too much detail on that right now. Just know that if you were thinking about becoming a cloud agent and experiencing what all that offers, we have a special gift for you guys coming up. And then even if you're not a real estate agent, you are an entrepreneur, you run a business where you need a CRM, you need the accountability, we've got you covered there as well. And we're going to have some special guests on that will also have some goodies in the bag for you guys too. So we're excited to share that. And we think what we're going to do is do a separate from the podcast kind of webinar type thing.
Nice. It's gonna be fun. I think it's exciting. Everything's coming together, and definitely the tools for people to take advantage of and start using in their business. So regardless of whether it's real estate or any other business. But yeah, if you're in the real estate space, you want to get plugged in and see what we're putting out there for you guys.
And in 30 minutes at 1 o'clock Eastern time, I just put a new website at the bottom. If you guys come to meetcloudrealty.com, that's our daily training. We do once a day, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Today, what we're doing is I'm going to be hosting, and I'm going to help you create 30 pieces of content. We're going to bulk create in Canva. I'm going to give you a how-to guide, the templates. So you're going to walk away with a tangible object. You're going to walk away with 30 pieces of content that you can post to your social media. So you can post every single day for a month. And not only are you going to get that, you're also going to learn how to do it on a continuous basis so that you now have the ability to do that every month and create your own stuff.
And I do apologize because my camera, something's going on, and I am blurry. But yeah, this has been fun, and yeah, stay tuned for that meetcloudrealty.com meeting. I think we covered a little bit last week, but it's such a important tool and to implement, easy to use, easy to create content. So now we don't have excuse about why there's nothing on social media.
Yep. But that'll do it for us today. Don't forget to see us at 1 o'clock and come grab your 30 pieces of content. Make sure you get that QR code. That's it from me today. Do you have anything else you want to add before we close out, Andres?
Yeah, don't forget to follow us and check out our website, Real Talk with Heather and Andres, and stay tuned for next week's episode. I'll see you on meetcloudrealty.com and out.
Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.